Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana Yashodanandana Brajadana Randana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Go to Pimanandi. Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Vrajgacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Shiraboy Charanarvin Bhakti Vedanta Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Charyas Divine Grace Sri Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samavata Bhakta Vrinda Ki Hari Nama Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Thai Gauda Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyanandana Salakaya Dakshuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jita Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Shyam Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kantana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyaivacha Patitanam Pavanidyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Ram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within a heart becomes destroyed or practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Namam Puranam Brahmasamitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Shakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreya Sayalokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God, which is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna
Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Rama Hare
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yadkripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Yadkripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class, continuing Canto number 1, Chapter 7, the son of Arjuna punished. So text number 37, I believe. 37? Yes. Swa pranam yah para pranay prapushnati agrinaha kalaha tad vadhas tasya hi Sriyayo. Oh, I'm sorry here. Shreyo yad doshad yati adaha puman swaprananya parapranay prapushnatyagrina kalaha tadvadas tasya hi shreyo yadadoshad yatyada puman swapranam ya parapranay prapushnatyagrina kalaha tadvadastasya hi shreyo yad doshad yatyada puman swapranan ya parapranay prapushnatyagrina kalaha tadvadastasya hi shreyo yad doshad yatyada puman
Swaprananya parapranay prapushnatyagrina kalaha tadvadhastasya hi shreyo yadoshad
yatyada puman swaprananya parapranay prapushnatyagrina kalaha
tadvadastasya hi
shreyo yadoshad yatyada puman sapranan one's own life.
one's own life.
Yaha,
Yaha,
one who,
one who,
parapranai,
Parapanai,
at the cost of others' lives.
at the cost of others' life.
Prapushnati,
Prapusnati,
maintains properly.
maintains properly.
Agrinaha,
Agrinaha,
shameless.
shameless.
Kalaha,
Kalaha,
wretched. Tat vadaha, tat vadaha,
Tatbadaha,
killing of him.
killing of him.
Tasya,
Tasya,
his,
his,
he, certainly.
certainly.
Sreyaha,
Sreya,
well-being.
well-being.
Yet,
Yet,
by which,
by which,
doshat,
doshat,
by default,
by default,
yati,
yati,
goes.
goes.
Adaha,
Adaha,
downwards.
downwards.
Puman,
Woman,
a person.
a person.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
A cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise, he will go down by his own actions. Kindly repeat after me. A cruel and wretched person
A cruel and wretched person
who maintains his existence
who maintains his
at the
existence
cost of others' lives
at the cost of others' lives
deserves to be killed
deserves to be killed
for his own well-being.
for his own well-being.
Otherwise, he will go down
Otherwise, he will go down
by his own actions.
by his own actions.
Purport. A life for a life is just punishment for a person who cruelly and shamelessly lives at the cost of another's life. Political morality is to punish a person by a death sentence in order to save a cruel person from going to hell. That a murderer is condemned to a death sentence by the state is good for the culprit, because in his next life he will not have to suffer for his act of murder. Such a death sentence for the murderer is the lowest possible punishment offered to him. And it is said in the Smriti Shastras that men who are punished by the king on the principle of a life for life are purified of all their sins, so much so that they may be eligible for being promoted to the planets of heaven. According to Manu, the great author of civic codes and religious principles, even the killer of an animal is to be considered a murderer, because animal food is never meant for the civilized man, whose prime duty is to prepare himself for going back to Godhead. He says that in the act of killing an animal, there is a regular conspiracy by the party of sinners, and all of them are liable to be punished as murderers, exactly like a party of conspirators who kill a human being combinedly. And the next sentence is in italics, means it's giving it more importance. He who gives permission, he who kills the animal, he who sells the slaughtered animal, he who cooks the animal, he who administers distribution of the foodstuff, And at last, he who eats such cooked animal food are all murderers, and all of them are liable to be punished by the laws of nature. No one can create a living being despite all advancement of material science, and therefore no one has the right to kill a living being by one's independent whims. For the animal eaters, the scriptures have sanctioned restricted animal sacrifices only, and such sanctions are there just to restrict the opening of slaughterhouses and not to encourage animal killing. The procedure under which animal sacrifice is allowed in the scripture is good both for the animal sacrificed and the animal eaters. It is good for the animal in the sense that the sacrificed animal is at once promoted to the human form of life after being sacrificed at the altar, and the animal eater is saved from grosser types of sins. In bracket, eating meats supplied by organized slaughterhouses, which are ghastly places for breeding all kinds of material afflictions to society, country, and the people in general. The material world is itself a place always full of anxieties, and by encouraging animal slaughter, the whole atmosphere becomes polluted more and more by war, pestilence, famine, and many other unwanted calamities. Translation again: a cruel and wretched person who maintains his existence at the cost of others' lives deserves to be killed for his own well-being. Otherwise, he will go down by his own actions. So, the subject matter, controversial subject matter of what they call capital punishment. What does mean capital punishment? That if someone is found guilty of killing another human being, then he is sentenced to death. So Prabhupada is explaining how, according to Shastra, this is actually correct. If one actually has killed, then he should be sentenced to death. In modern day times, this in some places is followed, but in many places they are not following. They will maybe sentence someone for life imprisonment or for many, many years. Out of sentiment or other reasons, they will they will not adopt what they call capital punishment. So, of course, in the purport, Prabhupada explains, according to Shastra, it's not only killing a human being, killing other animals, killing other living entities is also sinful, for which one is meant to be punished as well. And one of the, we know, one of the grossest sinful activities ongoing on the planet since the last century and even before, that Prabhupada calls as suicidal policy. Governments are following, by enacting different legislation, they're following different suicidal policy. Who has read Light of the Bhagavat, small book that Prabhupada wrote long time ago. Yeah, very nice book actually. Not only because it has nice pictures, but the content. Prabhupada, he just writes, and so in that Light of the Bhagavat, I think it was written a few years before Prabhupada went to the West, before going to the America. And oh, I see. Okay, there it is. Yes, your container. So in that, there are many interesting points that Prabhupada makes. Actually, one of them has to do with this statement of suicidal policies, the killing of cows, in particular. Prabhupada makes a few important statements. He says that those who are serious to actually bring about a solution to the problems of the world, they should first give their attention to this question of cow slaughter. I mean, we we know from the early description of the Bhagavatam how Parikshit Maharaj was ready to kill one person who was actually beating cow and bull, and according to Vedic law, yeah, that it's not only the humans who are the praja. Birthright is not simply for those who are born as human beings in a country, but any animal who is born, any living entity born, is meant to be protected according to Vedic law or Vedic understanding. So there are some attempts actually for introducing legislation that would prevent the killing of animals. I think here in India, I think a few states, like in Gujarat. Gujarat was where Narendra Modi was previously the chief minister in Gujarat. Gujarat, very, very, very pious state. People are very religious, and there's a few states where they give especially high respect to the cows and to the bulls. So, so this point is being discussed here, that there are. We were reading this a few days ago. Also, certain instances where one can can actually kill another person if he transgresses certain laws. Of course, we should avoid taking things into our own hands, and call the authorities in different wherever we may be. But that injunction is there because sometimes one doesn't have any choice. If somebody attacks, the police may not be there. Most of the time, they're not there. So this is also clearly outlined in the purport. Sometimes devotees, they ask question, is it okay to be working in some company where they are transporting meat, for example? So here it's very clearly explained how not only the person who is, let's say, directly killing an animal or directly eating the flesh of animal, but Mm, yeah, one who gives permission, of course, one who kills the animal, one who sells the slaughtered animal, one who cooks the animal, he who administers distribution of the foodstuff, and at last, he who eats such cooked animal food, yes, are all murderers, and all of them are liable to be punished by the laws of nature. Laws of nature are very strict, and it is uh, our duty, our responsibility to learn what are the laws of nature. Just like in any country, if you're driving a car, you must know what are the traffic rules. And if you, by mistake, don't follow those rules, then you'll be fined or you'll be punished somehow. So it is not an excuse that we don't know. In the human form of life, we are meant to know. This is all connected with the principles of dharma. Yeah. Prabhupada made many statements in this regards, telling, for example, how because of because different governments around the world uh, support or allow killing of animals, therefore wars will be there. Wars where their men, uh, countrymen will be also sent to the slaughterhouse of modern day wars. And they are going on, of course, right now, also in different countries. So this is one of the, as we know, one of the four pillars of dharma, right? The pillar relating to the daya, satyam, daya, tapa, saucham. Daya means uh, being compassionate, merciful to all living entities, not inflict undue suffering or harm or inconvenience to not only human beings but to all living entities as well. So Prabhupada mentioned so many times how not only this particular uh, not only this particular principle of dharma is not followed, practically all of the principles of dharma in modern day society, and therefore due to so many unlawful or sinful activities, um, the world is faced, as mentioned in the very last sentence of the purport, by encouraging animal slaughter, the whole atmosphere becomes polluted more and more by war, pestilence, famine, and many other unwanted calamities. It's true or not true?
Yeah, it's so. By not following the system of practice of Varnashram life, more and more people, more and more families not able to give protection to animals,
Yes.
to cows, because cannot use, they cannot benefited by the animal. They cannot work in a relationship, good relationship with animal.
Yes. Well, most people don't have animals.
Yeah, because they not practice
Right. They're not
that
living the natural
not
way.
natural life.
Yeah. And even people who are in village,
Yeah.
they are not following the proper way of, let's say, of farming.
Mm.
The proper way. What's the proper way of farming?
Natural way.
Yeah. The natural way.
Natural circulation.
Huh?
Natural circulation of
Natural way of farming means that we should learn to be sufficient with one crop. In the Vedic times, one would have sufficient food for the whole year, and if not beyond, by having one crop. Because there are laws. There's so many laws that, for example, um, just like when a woman becomes pregnant and gives a child, then once there are specifics, there are guidelines given that she should not again become pregnant until a certain period of time, so that the body is resting. In a similar way, the land, the bhumi, produces so many different products, foods, etc. And we're not meant to just again and again be um, cultivating land. Land needs to rest also.
yeah.
Yeah, there are specific injunctions in that respect. So I mean, even for such seemingly simple thing as farming, most people in villages nowadays, uh, those who have cows, they don't have sufficient place for the cows to graze, and the cows are simply tied to a post. They don't, isn't it? Which is not at all ideal situation for, yeah. Because we are wanting to produce food 2 times or 3 times for the purpose of selling, isn't it? You speak to any farmer today, I'm sure pretty well anywhere in the world, uh, farmers, they have been taught that we will do farming if it is profitable, if we can make, it's like a business. But actually farming is not meant to be that type of business. We are according to Vedic uh, way of life, we are meant to produce food. What's that? Very important. Produce only what you need and use only what you produce. This is like very profound statement. Produce only what you need. So we should not be producing for the purpose of selling. That's why when we understand that land is one of 3 gifts of nature, that is meant to be, that we are not meant to exploit, then we will begin to understand this principle. Land is not meant to be exploited. Uh, in the Vedic culture, actually, land is not meant to be sold also. Food is not meant to be sold. Cows are not meant to be sold. Knowledge is not meant to be sold. We have bhagavatam class. We didn't charge anyone to attend a bhagavatam class. And, we don't, but this is actually very important knowledge that we are receiving. But in most modern day educational institutions, as we know, you have to pay money to get that education. But that is not in keeping with the Vedic system. That's why we are proposing to have Gurukul, where students are not charged. So these are all things which cannot so easily be understood, but they are in keeping with the principles of dharma, and unless people are gradually trained and educated to understand these principles of dharma, then whatever system or adjustment people try to make, it will never actually be successful. So in other words, what we as devotees and as an organization are meant to do is introduce and teach these basic principles, which are meant to be demonstrated in how we live, and how we live on a daily basis, and of course the topic being discussed here in the context of Ashwatthama, to come back to the main theme, is that he killed innocent boys, and according to Vedic injunction, if somebody kills, then he's also meant to be killed. And Prabhupada goes beyond, of course, as we mentioned a few minutes ago. In the Vedic culture, the law is very strict. It's not only a question of killing other human beings, but also unnecessarily killing animals. Yeah.
So it is very good that Srila Prabhupada explained. If this sinful action is going on, like animal killing,
Yes.
then there will be a war.
Yes.
And other than a war, there is also will be nature's law.
Yes.
There will be a calamity.
Yes.
Otherwise, why that calamity is happening in this material world, and by one calamity, thousands of people killed
Yes.
at once.
Yes. Yes. Correct. I mean, in
So
very
they are receiving the reaction of their sinful action.
correct. Yes. We read in the Bhagavatam how during the reign of Lord Ramachandra, who was naturally ruling based on principles of dharma, everything was very nice. There was no suffering. No one was ill. No one was sick. There was very regulated rainfall. Only it would rain at nighttime. No excessive heat like we're having now. No heat waves. I mean, the whole of India and maybe in other places, we speak about climate change, all of these irregularities, so many things that are just like, what is it, practically speaking, out of control. So things are out of control, seemingly out of control, because we are contradicting or going against, rather, the laws of nature. So dharma actually means law of nature. And whether we know or don't know the laws of nature, like the small child who plays with matches, he doesn't know that fire burns until he actually gets burnt. So nature, laws of nature need to be known and followed, and then then all of the calamities and very horrible situations that exist in the world today can be rectified if people are taught about the laws of nature. That means dharma, the principles of dharma. That's what we are endeavoring to do, and of course, because the major players, the decision makers in a country are generally politicians. You know, they are elected and then they pass different legislation. So their legislation, if it is not in keeping with what is there in Shastra, will naturally, which is unfortunately the situation in the world today.
So it is, we can see the need of good politician.
Yes,
Good politician who knows dharma.
that's why Prabhupada, I think you know when Prabhupada was, he had an appointment with Indira Gandhi many years ago.
Yeah.
Prabhupada was always, devotees were making different arrangements so that Prabhupada could meet with important people, because, you know, if they can accept and follow what is there in Shastra. So Prabhupada, he had 10 points that he wanted to discuss.
To meet Mahatma Gandhi.
No, Indira.
Indira Gandhi.
Yeah, the prime minister at that time. And I think that was in 1970, 75. Actually, Prabhupada had come to Montreal. He was supposed to stay a few days. We were visiting a few devotees. We were from another temple visiting Montreal. We came all the way from Ottawa, actually, we came to Montreal. And Prabhupada, he stayed only less than 24 hours. Why? Because he got a call that, okay, the appointment is like in 1 or 2 days with Indira Gandhi. So I'm mentioning all this because one of the points that Prabhupada had written that he presented to Indira Gandhi was that actually before the ministers go to the assembly, before they go to the parliament, they should attend bhagavatam class in the morning.
So nice.
Well, yeah, because if we actually understand the that is written in actually when I was giving class the other day at the Russian community hall, that point came up that Krishna was describing Krishna's daily activities in Dwarka. So Krishna's daily activities, this is all also very nicely summarized in the Kautilya Arthashastra by Chanakya. What is the schedule of a king? It's just like we're supposed to have. Generally, we all have some kind of schedule. The more regulated our schedule is, then the more we can be generally effective. Prabhupada was, you know, personalities like Prabhupada and Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So anyways, the king, I mean Krishna himself, every day, for example, after doing his morning duties, then he not only takes darshan of cow, but he offers his obeisances to cow. And he speaks with brahmanas. So in the Kautilya Arthashastra, it mentions that 3 times a day, one who is in such leadership position must hear from Shastra, must study Shastra. It's not only brahmanas who study Shastra, Kshatriyas, because they are ruling based on the principles of dharma. They must know Shastra. So it's not at all unreasonable. No. The problem is that people wrongly think that why we should study Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. This is Hindu book. It is not Hindu book. People wrongly conclude that these are books for the Hindus, you know, and that Krishna is Hindu God. But that is misunderstanding. Prabhupada, he would explain, I didn't come to your country to teach you that Krishna is a Hindu God. I didn't come to your country to convert you from being a Christian or a Jew or whatever to become a Hindu. We are presenting Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam is presenting the principles of Sanatana Dharma, which is for everyone. They are books of knowledge. So this point is not understood. If it was understood, then regardless of who is in parliament, for example, whether one is Hindu or Christian or whatever, they will hear from such books of knowledge. But, I mean, Prabhupada was able to convince whoever is a Krishna conscious devotee that this is actually the proper understanding, you know, that these are not books meant only for a certain group of people. They are books of knowledge, just like any books of law. They are a lawyer, whether he's a Christian or Hindu, he will read the same, study the same books of law, books of medicine, same thing, isn't it? Yeah. So these are books of knowledge, of philosophy and like that. So yeah, that's one of our important responsibilities to impress upon. We have devotees who are especially active in cultivating politicians because they make major decisions that affect the whole population. Just like they recently have a new chief minister in Orissa, and one of the first things he did after coming to power is that he because since COVID, the doors of the Jagannath Puri temple was closed. Three of there are 4 doors going to the temple. 3 were closed because they had to control. So he had mentioned that, you know, I will open. So the first day, actually, pretty well, he went with all of his different MLAs and ministers, and they all went to Mangalarti at the Jagannath Puri temple. I think only in India. Yes. But yeah, I mean, politicians, they're meant, we understand, you know, this, what is called Dandaniti, the science of politics, the science of governance, Vedic governance, Kshatriya, is meant to follow and to introduce these principles of dharma. We have some work to do because it's not so obvious to most people. That's why education is critical for introducing this knowledge, and that's why we have bhagavatam class. That's why we are meant to introduce different educational courses also. So anything? Yes.
So all this section until Parikshit takes the kingdom is a preparation for introducing Parikshit Maharaj, who is the main character of the Bhagavatam.
Right.
So it looks like quite long preparation, and I would like to find all the functions of this little part, how they prepare us for understanding Parikshit Maharaj as a greatest leader of the world and the best listener of Bhagavatam. So maybe one time we can just find this kind of questions answered. Why Krishna is speaking in these details of leadership? Because it's not supposed to. It's not a time when he's like a Bhagavad Gita. Okay, he starts speak, or Bhishma. Okay, Krishna brings everyone to listen to Bhishma according to the rulers, what they have to learn. And there is a Bhishma
Speaks.
teachings. I don't know, there's a much more
Yeah,
not
yeah.
in the bhagavatam. So that have a reason. But until now, I don't see what is the reason of this kind of too much details. Arjuna is 100 years old, so he knows all these things. No, not have to mention. And the situation is not like Krishna is joking or teasing him, not really testing him because he already tested many times. So I don't really catch the Vyasadev's strategy or things, how he compiled, how he put together, like an author. You put some beautiful pictures because you have a very horrible situation. Then the contrast
Correct.
will have the people,
Yes.
this word is horrible. So
Yeah.
I would like to understand sometimes the function of this part.
Yeah. Okay, we can try to come back on that sometime.
Yeah.
Always good to understand the context.
Yeah.
The context in which something is presented.
Because it looks like you mentioned that we learn from that example. I read a little bit later, Arjun will put Ashwattham to Draupadi, who is lamenting on the death of her son. There's no reason to give someone a big responsibility dealing with this situation and she's in confused mind. Why not to Yudhishthir? That would be reasonable. Okay, I will not decide, bring it to the head, and he will say whatever, and I will follow. If he say kill, I kill. So that would be one reason why Arjun doesn't kill at the moment. To bring the focus that okay, we have system of leadership. We are not just supposed to decide immediately because there is no immediate danger.
Yeah. We can try to come back and discuss. Yeah. Because now it's at the end of the class, so now we are at the end of the class. So
Yeah. Just
correct.
Just a thought that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because not so many times we see so detailed discussions.
Right.
It's very detailed.
Right.
And I see Prabhupada using that very properly because Bhagavatam, first canto, we have to establish a pure life of humanity. So that's he's using perfectly. So that's not a problem.
Correct. Right. Yeah.
So he have a goal with the first canto, very seriously.
Right.
To establish the Vedic culture.
Correct. Yes. Okay. We can try to come back. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Gaura Premanande.